Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Grace. Today I'll be discussing the Dua brand. I had never tried this brand before, but I was curious to find out what they were all about. They are a niche fragrance house. Their perfumes are made out of natural oils. They have both their own fragrances and also an inspired version of other fragrance houses. Now, I'll be honest, guys, this is not going to be a first impressions video. I wanted to make sure I smell these fragrances before making this video so that I could form my own thoughts and opinions about each fragrance. That way you can choose whether this is something that you would like to try or not based on your own fragrance taste. So if you're also curious about the Dua brand and want to know more, then stay tuned and keep on watching. First off, I think they did great with the packaging. This is a very sturdy box. When you first open it, on the side you have a little bit about them, and on the other side you get your fragrance really nicely stored. The first fragrance I have here is Whipped French Vanilla. This is a Dua original blend. It's a gourmand and it has notes of whipping cream, French vanilla, syrup, milk, and frosting. When I initially smelled this perfume, the opening was really strong. It was almost choking me out, and not in a good way, but because I allowed some of these perfumes to macerate for a little bit, I think it's gotten better with time. And because they are natural oils, you do have to allow for that time to pass because they do get better. However, this reminds me of something. I'm not saying it's a dupe, but it reminds me of the Dulce perfume from Rosie Jane. It's got a similar DNA, so kind of like sweet, creamy, custard-based type of fragrance. So if you don't like that type of fragrance, I don't think you're going to like this. I think you should just skip. But to be honest, I much prefer the Dulce by Rosie Jane over this, of course. But right now for me, this is not it. I think I will let it macerate a little bit longer. But for right now, this is not one of my favorites. All right, moving on to the second fragrance. This is Pistachio Cream Delight. It's also a Dua original blend. It is a gourmand. It's got notes of pistachio, milky notes, tonka bean, vanilla, amber, and musk. Now, originally when I smelled this fragrance, it was very sharp and very strong in the opening, and since I've allowed it to sit for a little bit, it has macerated and it's become a little bit creamier, more sweet. And I smell that pistachio and it smells so yummy, so edible. However, on my skin, it does not work well. Now, this reminds me of two fragrances that I have either decluttered or never picked up. One of those is Praline and Pistachio, and the other one is Cheirosa 71 by Sol de Janeiro. I've never picked up that fragrance, and I ended up decluttering Praline and Pistachio because it just did not work well with my skin. And on my skin, it actually smells like popcorn. That is nowhere near in the notes, but that is what it gives me vibes of when I put it on my skin. And I love pistachio notes, but this does not work well with my skin in my opinion. But it smells really good on paper. It smells really good in the air. Very, very yummy. But I don't think this is one that I would recommend. If you don't like those other fragrances, I don't think you will like this one either. But that is just my opinion of what I smell and what it reminds me of. And don't get me wrong, I think Praline and Pistachio and Cheirosa 71 are really yummy. They're so good for somebody else, but just because it doesn't work with my skin, it just doesn't turn out to be as yummy as I want it to be on my skin. So therefore, this one kind of does that same thing, and I think I'm just going to let it sit a little bit longer and see if I change my mind about it. Otherwise, I think this is going to be a no for right now. And our third fragrance is Marshmallow Vanilla. This is actually inspired by Serendipitous by Serendipity 3. It's supposed to be a gourmand. It's got notes of cocoa, Tahitian vanilla, and blood orange. I have never smelled the original that this is the inspiration for, so I cannot say if it really does smell like that one. However, when I smell this, I think this is really nice and sweet. But this is not the type of sweet that's gonna be overpowering or gonna give you a headache. This is a softer type of sweet. And also, as you can tell, there is no marshmallow note in this. There's cocoa, there's vanilla, and you can definitely smell the blood orange in here. You can smell that there's some type of citrus in here, and I think that's what balances the sweetness of this, to be completely honest. Yeah, I think it's the orange that's really coming out and just balancing the fragrance a lot better. So far, I think this is a good one. I'm gonna let it sit as well just to see if this gets a little bit better, a little bit sweeter maybe. So for now, this fragrance is gonna be a yes for me. The fourth fragrance we're going to talk about is Princeless Princess of Desire 2. This is supposed to be a hybrid, and it's inspired by I Don't Need a Prince by My Side to Be a Princess by Kilian and Cruz del Sur 2 by Xerjoff. This is an amber vanilla, and we got notes of lemon, green tea, ginger, mango, guava, pineapple, apple blossom, black currant, exotic floral notes, violet leaf, peach, herayon, jasmine, apple, milk, dried fruits, musk, vetiver, cedarwood, marshmallow, vanilla, and benzoin. We've got lots of notes in there, but this fragrance is absolutely delicious. It smells really, really nice. I think the combination of all these fruits, it makes it smell really fruity, sweet, fresh at the same time. This is a good combination. What they did with this hybrid smells really good. And I also have not smelled any of the Xerjoff fragrances, so I'm not sure how that specific fragrance would smell. But this is a good combination. I really like it. For me, this is a yes. Alright, so next up is Accidental Angelic Vanille Elixir. This is their version of both Angel's Share and Accident à la Vanille by Josette. So this is what they call a hybrid as well. This is supposed to be an amber spicy. It's got notes of vanilla, cognac, praline, cinnamon, tonka bean, oak, sandalwood, and styrax. I definitely smell the cinnamon, the oak, and the sandalwood in here, and I can smell Angel's Share in this DNA. Definitely. I do prefer the dry down of this fragrance versus the opening. The opening is a little bit strong, and that is why I kind of just prefer the dry down. But I would say this is okay. It's not my favorite. It's just okay. Next up, we have Be in Love, which is inspired by Love Don't Be Shy by Kilian. This is an amber fragrance. It's got notes of neroli, bergamot, pink pepper, coriander, orange blossom, jasmine, honeysuckle, rose, iris, sugar, vanilla, caramel, musk, civet, and labdanum. If you are a fan of Love Don't Be Shy, if you've smelled that fragrance and you like it, but you just don't want to pay the price of that fragrance, then I think this is a good version and inspiration of Love Don't Be Shy. Unfortunately, I am not a huge fan of Love Don't Be Shy, and the DNA just doesn't work well with me. But if you do like that, then I think you will like this inspiration by the Dua brand. And you might ask yourselves, well, Grace, if you don't like Love Don't Be Shy, why did you get this fragrance? And honestly, I'll be honest, I got this by accident, so I just kind of have it now. When I realized that I had gotten this in my cart and that I had actually paid for it, it was too late. I couldn't cancel it, so I'm kind of stuck with it, but this is a no for me. Next up, we have Caramelos, which is inspired by Prada Candy. This is an amber vanilla. It's got notes of vanilla, caramel, powdery notes, benzoin, and musk. So with this one, I think that the opening is a lot different than what the actual Prada Candy opening is like. This, you get a little bit of sharpness in the opening, and on the Prada Candy one, there's a little bit of a softer opening. And I think because this has natural oils, that's probably why. But the dry down is very similar to Prada Candy. I would say you do get the sweetness in here. There is something powdery about this. You do get a softer version, I think, of Prada Candy in my opinion, because this is very soft. This is not loud. I don't think this was meant to be loud. It's very nice and pretty, but that's what I get from this. Now, since you can now find Prada candy in both discount stores and websites, I would say that if you're looking for an inspiration of that fragrance, just get the original because you can find it for a good discount in some cases. And this is a good version. I'm not saying that this is a bad fragrance. The only downside to the actual Prada candy is that it doesn't last long. And this one actually does last a little bit longer, but it does also become a skin scent, kind of like the original Prada candy. What I'm going to do is just let it sit a little bit longer. Maybe we'll get a little bit more sweetness with time. But for now, this is okay. But honestly, if you're really looking for something like this, just get the original. Next up is Hey Sweetie, which is inspired by Oriana by Perfumes de Marly. This is meant to be a fruity floral. It's got notes of mandarin orange, grapefruit, bergamot, orange blossom, raspberry, blackcurrant, marshmallow, whipped cream, musk, and amberette. Now, personally, I love fruity floral scents. They're one of my favorites. I have never smelled Oriana by Parfums de Marly, so I'm not sure what that smells like. But if that smells like this, then that is a really good scent because this is really well blended. I think the Dua brand did a really good job with this one. I can definitely smell the citrus from the mandarin orange and the bergamot, the orange blossom. But then it mixes really nicely with the whipped cream, the musk, the marshmallow. There is something very, very citrus and sweet. So it's a really good balance between the two. Now, can we talk about the packaging? The packaging is super cute. It's pink. It's girly. It definitely gives you girly vibes when you wear this. It reminds me of the color pink. So I think the Dua brand did a really nice job with this packaging. Just the picture of this, it's really nice. I think this is going to be a yes for me. I'm also going to let it sit a little bit longer, see if it macerates a little bit better, and see if I end up liking it even more. But again, if this does smell like Oriana by Parfums de Marly, then I think they did a really good job with this one. And I would say if you don't like sweet, fruity florals, this is not one that you would like. But if you do and you're kind of like me and you like those kind of scent types, I think this would be a great one to start with if you want to try the brand. Next up, we have She Loves Red, which is an inspiration by Rouge Smoking by BDK. This is supposed to be oriental. It's got notes of sherry, pink pepper, bergamot, black vanilla, heliotrope, orange blossom, tonka bean, cashmere wood, white musk, labdanum, violet, and ambroxan. Now, I've never tried BDK before, but I am curious about Rouge Smoking and other scents that they have. I love cherry notes in perfumes, and with this one, you actually get the cherry note at the top, the mid, and the dry down. So that cherry note stays throughout the whole time, which is what I absolutely love, because sometimes those top notes tend to fade after a few minutes, after an hour, and you no longer get that note that you wanted to get throughout the entire fragrance. Now, this type of cherry is not medicinal. It's a really nicely blended cherry. I think the pink pepper with cherry always blends really well, and in most cases, you see a lot of cherry notes combined with almond notes. And I think with the pink pepper, it's a really nice combination. So you're getting that sweetness, you're getting that ambery type of seductive note in there too, which it doesn't necessarily say that it has amber on here, but you do get that vibe from this fragrance. This is a definite yes for me. Next up, we have Angelic Elixir, which is inspired by Kilian's Angel Chair. This is an oriental vanilla. It's got notes of cognac, cinnamon, tonka bean, oak, praline, vanilla, and sandalwood. Now, this definitely has a very woody dry down from the top notes. You can smell the cognac and the cinnamon, but then it dries down to a nice, boozy, spicy, woody scent. So if you like woody scents, I think you will enjoy this. However, this does lack the sweetness from the original Angel's Share, But if you were one that didn't really enjoy the original because it was way too sweet, you might actually enjoy this version and inspiration of Angel's Share. I think for me, this fragrance is just okay. Next up is Cafe of Intense, which is inspired by Montel's Intense Cafe. This is an amber vanilla. It's got floral notes, rose, coffee, vanilla, white musk, and amber. This is definitely very intense, as the name says. This is a coffee that's strong, sharp. So as soon as I sprayed this, I was like, whoa, this is just way too sharp for me, way too strong. I think it's very floral. You get the musk, you get the amber, so it's very, very intense as it says. But this is definitely not black opium. This is not as sweet as that. I've never tried the original Montel, so I can't say for sure if it necessarily compares to this one. However, I prefer something sweeter. And maybe I need to allow it to let it sit a little bit longer just to see if it macerates and gets a little bit sweeter. However, for right now, it's too sharp for me, and I think this would be something better for the winter, for those fall, winter months, not necessarily for the summer or the spring. So just keep that in mind. So for now, this is a no for me. Next up, we have Her First, which is inspired by Monclair's Monclair Parfum. This is supposed to be a woody floral musk. It's got powdery notes, heliotrope, bergamot, jasmine, vanilla, cedarwood, sandalwood, and amber. This scent is very sweet, floral, very elegant and feminine, and at the same time, it's very soft. So I think this is perfect for an everyday signature scent because it's not going to bother anybody. It's just very clean at the same time. I really like this. I'm glad I got this scent, so this is a definite yes from me. Now that I've gone over the scents I chose and purchased from Dua, it's time to give you guys my final thoughts. First, the price, although some of them are already really well priced, I got all of these perfumes during a sale they were having, so I would suggest getting these on sale, which takes me to the second thing I have to say. There are no returns, so make sure to do your research and choose wisely before making a purchase, which is the reason why I also suggest getting them on sale. And then third, don't give up on them upon first sniff. Do let them sit for a little bit and let them macerate, and then retry them, re-smell them, and see what you think at that point. Longevity will vary depending if you overspray or if you layer, but just know that these will last a little bit longer. They will linger on your clothes, and you also do have to be careful because they may stain your clothes because they are natural oils. My favorites were for sure She Loves Red, Her First, Marshmallow Vanilla, Hey Sweetie, and then Princeless Princess of Desire 2. So all of those were some of my favorites. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know down below if you've tried the Dua brand and which ones you like. Which ones do you recommend? Thank you so much for watching this video. Until next time.